Hello everyone, my name is Elijah David, minister of the 12th Hour Apostolic Sabbatarian Congregation on the 12th Hour in the Liberty Hill, Texas. Today is July 4, 2013, or the 26th day of the 4th month, 2017. We will start our first service today with a song entitled Dwelling in Beulah Land. Far away the noise of strife upon my ear is falling. Then I know the sons of earth beset on every hand. Doubt and fear and things of earth and fame to me are calling. None of these shall move me from Beulah land. I'm living on the mountain underneath the cloudless sky. I'm drinking at the fountain that never shall run dry. Oh, yes, I'm feasting on the manna from a bountiful supply, for I am dwelling in Beulah land. Far below the storms of doubt on the road is beating, sons of men in battles long, the enemy withstand. Safe am I within the castle of Yah's word retreating. Nothing then can breach me, this Beulah land. I'm living on the mountain underneath the cloudless sky. I'm drinking at the fountain that never shall run dry. Oh yes, I'm feasting on the manna from a bountiful supply, for I am dwelling in Beulah land. Let the stormy breezes blow, their cry cannot alarm me. I am safely sheltered here, protected by Yah's hand. Here the sun is always shining, here this naught can harm me. I am safe forever in Beulah land. I'm living on the mountain underneath the cloudless sky. I'm drinking at the fountain that never shall run dry. Oh yes, I'm feasting on the manna from a bountiful supply, for I am dwelling in Beulah land. Hearing here the works of Yah, I sink in contemplation. Hearing now his blessed voice, I see the way he planned. Dwelling in the Spirit here, I learn in full salvation. Gladly will I tarry in Beulah land. I'm living on the mountain underneath the cloudless sky. Drinking at the fountain that never shall run dry. Oh yes, I'm feasting on the manna from a bountiful supply, for I'm dwelling in Beulah land. Okay everyone, hello once again, this is Elijah David. We're going to start a new series. We're going to be dealing with this chart right here. It's called World History and Prophetic Symbols. Our study is going to be taken from Shepherd Rod, Volume 2 by the V.T. Harloff. We're on page 27, and we're going to be dealing with the world history and prophecy. The prophecy of Daniel and the revelation of John contains a world history. So, the name of this title today would be the prophecy of Daniel and the revelation. Okay. Now, you know, you Seventh-day Adventists are familiar with the Adventist doctrine and the Daniel and the Revelation. That Uriah Smith wrote that book on At first, it was titled Thoughts on the Daniel and the Revelation, and he was a Jesuit infiltrated into the Adventist Church, and he wrote that book to offset the great controversy that Ellen G. White was producing at the time in the 1880s about, and so therefore that book got published instead of this great controversy, and that's what the Adventists still hark about today, that, well, we've got a book on Daniel and Revelation. What do we have? And they've held seminars, and they've held prayer meetings on Daniel and the Revelation. Now they only hold prayer meetings on the Revelation. They leave the Daniel out, the Adventists do. So we're going to bring Daniel and the Revelation back in true prophetic symbols, and we're going to give you the visual, and we're going to give you the written word. And what you're looking at is also, we have this here image where they strike the image on the feet, and then it goes to the mountain, fills the whole earth. Okay, this is part of your Daniel and Revelation ongoing. This is what Nebuchadnezzar saw in vision, Daniel interpreted for him. This right here takes place many centuries later, here in the end time. This is way back there when they were in captivity, about 500 or 600 years before the cross. So you can go back about 3,000 years now, or 2,500 years. And that's when Daniel interpreted the vision for Nebuchadnezzar, when this image was in one piece. Now today, in the 12th parabolic hour, we have the house of David hewn out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, striking this image on the feet that Daniel saw in vision. And this image represents the same kingdoms of the world that were present in Daniel's day. You had Babylon, Medo-Persia, Grecia, and Rome, and then the present world. Okay, now you have Babylon, Medo-Persia, Grecia, and Rome, and this present world has been shattered by the house of David, and the feet with the clay and the iron mixed together represents today's world, the present world. Well, so it's time for antithetical David, which is none other but in the spirit and power of Elijah. The same term synonymous with Elijah. Elijah has returned. I represent that Elijah. And so therefore, we're going to get started now. Pay close attention, all of you prophecy students, because on our website, we're going to put a place where you can join the School of the Prophets on our website link, and we're going to show you how to be a member of the everlasting kingdom of the heaven here on earth that's already come into view since 2002. And so we're going to invite everyone in the world to come up to the mountain of the house of Yahweh and be accounted for. Because it says here in Isaiah 2 and Micah 4, for in the last days many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the house of the mountain of the house of Yahweh, and we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Yahweh from Jerusalem. Let's read it again now from the scriptures. It says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up unto the mountain. What mountain? That mountain of the house of Yahweh that I just showed you back here. That was hewn, well, it's that brass mountain actually. It's that brass mountain. This is the house of David. The little stone, it started out as a little stone first, and it grows into a mountain and fills the whole earth. Okay. Well, let's don't deal with it right now. Let's go ahead. Micah 4, verse 2. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up unto the mountain of the house of Yahweh. Okay, of the Elohim of Jacob. Okay, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of the Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Let's read that one more time. Just slow down a little bit, because I've got a new point I want to make here. And many nations, not all nations, shall come and say, come and let us go up unto the mountain of the Yahshua. This is Yahshua, the Son's mountain. And unto the house of the Yahshua of Jacob. Yahshua was born of the house of David. He was born in a genealogical hookup and a descendant of David. He's called in the scriptures the son of David. So Yahshua is in charge now. He's come back in these last days to take charge of this holy mountain. And in the Old Testament, when the covenant was made with David, to establish this mount, house of the Yahweh, David established it as Yahweh's house when he comes to earth, to have a place to dwell in. Yahweh, the Father, says to David, and it's going to be called the house of David. It's going to be for both of us. Okay? And it said to the Yahshua of the Jacob. Okay, why does it say Yahshua of the Jacob, the son? Because he was born as the son of Judah, Yahshua was, by coming through the line of David. So Jacob had a son named Judah. He had 12 sons. One of them was Judah. And so Yahshua came from the lineage of Judah, Jacob's son. That's the reason why it says Yahshua of the Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. And we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of the Zion, and the word of the Yahshua from Yahushua. And keep in mind that the name of the Old Testament scriptures is Abaddon in the Hebrew. And Abaddon is a name for Yahshua, the word. In the New Testament, in the Greek translation, it's called Apollyon, meaning the same thing. Yahshua in the word. And now it has another application. And the exterminator of all of his enemies when he comes back in these last days. Every one of them. Every last one on planet Earth. If they don't come into his kingdom and become sanctified and purified by his blood, then they are exterminated. In the Old Testament, they weren't all exterminated. That's the reason why Abaddon means destroyer of many, not all. But Apollyon in the New Testament means executioner, extinguisher of all his enemies. Okay. And it says, and Yahshua, and he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. This is in Micah 4:3. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. All they're doing is wars and rumors of wars, Matthew 24, and they're learning wars every day. They're teaching the younger generations that come up. They start teaching them when they're babies over in them foreign land, and they teach them war. That day is coming when those nations make war against the Lamb there in Revelation 17, and he overcomes and defeats them, and then that's when the nations realize the Lamb has already overcome these evil nations. We don't need to make war anymore against him. What's left of us? Let's beat our swords into plowshares and learn war no more, and go up to his mountain and learn of his ways now. Because the leaderships of our armies have been vanquished by the Lamb already. So we don't have no leadership to lead us in the battle anymore. We don't have no commanding generals and presidents and kings of nations that are orchestrating, organizing these wars. We don't have no Muslim Brotherhood anymore. That's been set up by Obama and company here in the United States. Okay. So it says, but they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree. Okay. And none shall make them afraid. Why? Because there's none of them around anymore. They've all been exterminated. For the mouth of Yahweh of hosts has spoken it. So if you don't have any live enemies on this earth, they're all dead now, then you have nothing to fear anymore. For all people will walk everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of the Yeshua, our Savior, forever and ever. What did it say in Revelation 14 when Yeshua comes back and stands on Mount Zion with the Lamb? That stands on, when Yeshua comes back as the Lamb and stands on Mount Zion with 144,000, it says they follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Okay, so they're the sheep that belongs to the Lamb, Yeshua, the shepherd, the great shepherd of the sheep. In that day, saith the Yahweh, will I assemble her that halted, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. And I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. Okay, now look at this. And I will make her that halted a remnant. Who was it that halted? It was those sighers and criers in the mainstream of the Seventh-day Adventist Church here in these last days. They're the one that halted. They said, hey, hold it just a minute. Put the brakes on here. Our leaders have apostatized. They're teaching lies. They're teaching contrary to the Scriptures. It's time to put a halt to this. And in Zechariah 13 is a prophecy on that. It says that if they continue to tell these lies and prophesy falsely, then his own mother and father is going to come and thrust him through the sword. They're going to put a stop to it. Okay? And her that was cast off a strong nation, and the Yahweh, Yeshua, and the Yeshua shall reign over them in the Mount Zion in the 12th hour, starting here at Liberty Hill, Texas, from henceforth forever. Even forever, it says. And the old tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. And what's the first dominion? That's Adam's dominion at the garden. So we're going to have a resurrection. Adam and Eve are going to have to be resurrected. And their righteous son Seth had carried on their line after Cain and Abel. After Cain killed Abel, and the two sons disappeared in one day. They had to wait for a third son. And that third son, named Seth, so all the righteous line of Adam in the first dominion. Okay. Now the first dominion reached up to Enoch in Adam's day. Enoch was the 7th generation from the creation of the earth. Okay, so the first dominion would then be Adam's generation up to Enoch when he came on the scene. And Enoch he came on the scene in the 6th parabolic hour. Adam started his ministry outside the Garden of Eden in the 1st parabolic hour of the day. Even the first dominion, the kingdom shall come unto the daughter of Jerusalem. Now why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? You Adventists and Davidian Seventh-day Adventists, why are you crying out aloud? Is there no king in the midst of you Davidians, house of David, tribes of Judah? Didn't your prophet beat Jehoshaphat in when he was on the scene from 1930 to 1955? Didn't he write much on this here King David coming back in these last days? Did he write much about the King David will show up in our camp today of Judah, which Judah started up in 1930 out of the Adventist Church? The Adventist Church represented 10 tribes up to 1930, 10 tribes from the north. Proved that with their headquarters up in the north. They started out Adventist, their headquarters in the north of the United States. And then when Judah came on the scene by the prophecy of Ezekiel 4 in 1930, and Jehoshaphat was raised up to sit upon David's throne, and to inherit the kingdom prepared from the foundation of the world. So Beti Aleph came on the scene and inherited the kingdom of David for us in these last days. It had been prepared from the foundation of the world. Okay? Now, why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in the travail. Wow. During the Judgment of the Dead period, the house of David started up in 1930, and she travailed in pain to be delivered from Mama, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now, I want to make a mention here in verse 8, back up a minute. It says, and thou, O tower of the flock. The house of David is a tower of the flock today. Of the flock of what? The 144,000. That are to come out of the bowels of the Adventist Church one day and come into this everlasting kingdom that David is in charge of here on earth. Everlasting kingdom of the heaven. And call the everlasting kingdom of David as well. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion. Now this daughter of Zion is none other but the house of David, the branch Davidians, the shepherd's rod people. See, she got in pain to deliver. She got in pain to deliver. And by 1950, Beti Aleph told the Adventists, he wrote a tract, General Conference Special in 1950, and took it to the General Conference. He said, it's time for 144,000 to come forth. She comes out of your ranks. Beti Aleph and the house of David, tribe of Judah, they were in pain to deliver this man-child. And rightfully so. Only Judah can deliver the man-child. The house of David, because David was of the tribe of Judah. And Yeshua was born of the tribe of Judah, a descendant of David. So the house of Judah is the only one that can produce this man-child in our day. I represent the house of David, and 144,000 that are about to come forth represents the membership of this house of the David. And Yeshua, the righteous branch, represents what Jeremiah 23 had to say about it. And I'll go ahead and read that to you just right quick. Never know how these prayer thoughts are going to go, folks. We're going to give you a complete series on this Daniel and the Revelation, but we need to get the introduction taken care of. And it may take most of this hour, but nevertheless, we're going to spend as much time as it takes to give you a complete synopsis of the Daniel and Revelation, starting with Nebuchadnezzar's dream back here in 538 BC. 538 BC. Notice that's when Daniel had to interpret the dream for Nebuchadnezzar. Look here in 538, look here in 538 AD, look here. Here's Rome, the fourth beast in that vision. Pagan imperial Rome, look here. 538 AD, the second part of this fourth beast that Daniel saw in vision. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the second phase of this fourth beast right here, ecclesiastical Rome, in the Catholic Church, 538 AD. Daniel had the first vision, interpreted the first vision from Nebuchadnezzar in 538 BC, exactly 1,000 years apart. Okay? Now, it says here in Jeremiah 23, it says, woe be unto the pastures that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Yahweh. Therefore thus saith the Yahweh Elohim of Israel, against the pastures that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock, and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Yahweh. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries where I have driven them, and will bring them again unto their foes. That's the 12 tribes, that's the 12 foes, and they shall be fruitful and increase. Now this remnant is talked about there in Micah 5, verse 6, 7 and 8. And I just got to reading to you about Micah 4 here. And about this remnant. Let's get back to it now. But no. Let's go on to Jeremiah 23:5. Behold, the days come, saith the Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch. Meaning I'm going to raise up this here 144,000 unto him. That's the righteous branch of the house of David, tribe of Judah, lawgiver, which we get our prophecy and authority from Genesis 49:10. For a scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and Shiloh is Yahshua, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So Shiloh comes, Yahshua invisible joins his visible servant David, which is none other but antitypical Elijah, and then he gets the church purified and organized, the house of David, and then he brings forth his righteous branch unto David. This is the power of Yahshua executing upon his people and getting his cabinet set up with the house of David as the king, the visible king, and the 144,000 as prophets, priests, and kings in their own right, sitting upon an individual throne. Okay. And given judgment. Judgment is given unto them too. It says in Jeremiah, it says in Daniel 7:26, it said, time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Then in verse 22, 26, it said, to take away his dominion and to consume and destroy it until the end. That's the dominion of this beast right here. This here Catholic Church beast. This beast shows up again right here in the end time, in the scarlet colored beast. This presence starts here at the cross. This beast. He has this second phase here. And he has the third phase of him right here in this leopard-like beast that runs contemporary with these two beasts. Okay. And then this beast, he has a little interval here with the two-horned beast that represents the United States government that came from 1776, with the two horns on this little lamb-like beast, and representing the Democratic Republican Party, the two-party system that's supposed to balance our government. And then this leopard-like beast leapfrogs over this here little lamb-like beast. He leapfrogs over the woman that's sitting on the seven heads, representing Babylon, that's in charge of all the religious organizations here in the United States, folks. Not the world. The United States. This is the first. This is breaking news. She's this woman mouthpiece. This woman has. That's the mouthpiece for this beast right here. Is none other but the President of the United States of America that has come over here and taken charge of our government, taking charge of all church organizations here in the United States. Protestant churches. The Seventh-day Adventist is one of these churches. This is actually the seventh church. Okay, now, this leopard-like beast that came up in 1776 also, leapfrog, now he came up before 1776. He came out of the Dark Ages with this guy right here. This beast would run contemporary with this guy during the Dark Ages for 1260 years. But he emerged after the Pope was taken prisoner in 1793 and the Catholic Church came to her end in 1798, ruling over church and state and lost all of her civil power and religious power. This leopard-like beast come over here, and he's working with the two-horned beast now. In our day, he came up out of the sea. Revelation 13 said he came up out of the sea. Now he translates here in Revelation 17 into this beast right here, the scarlet colored beast. Now this woman is catching up with this beast right here. He leapfrogs over her and becomes this beast here, and she's still right here on this side of the beast. She's in control of all religion. So I guarantee you, when Obama's ministry, when his presidency is due to come to an end, he will have transferred to the back of this beast right here. And now it's a one-world government full-blown. Mark of the Beast, and a decree has been made for the Mark of the Beast to go in. It's full-blown. One-world government. Okay. Well, folks, it's later than we think, because this has been ongoing now, at least since 2001, when we had our first sign that the time of trouble had begun, when the world got its first sign. They may not recognize it, understood it, but when we had that inside job of our government blowing up the Twin Towers in New York, okay, that was starting the time of trouble. That's when this little two-horn beast, represented by the Bush administration in 2001, when George Bush became president the first time, and this little beast started then doing his thing, making an image, a scarlet-colored beast, to this beast right here. But meanwhile, the President of the United States that took over from George Bush, that was represented by this little beast in 2001, 2009, the President that took over from him, alright, and keep in mind now, except for that beast came by the sea, came from the old country, the Vatican. Okay. Keep in mind that this woman also came from the old country. She came from Africa. Okay? Now, so this beast translates into this beast, and this woman right here, she come from up out of the sea too. She come from Africa. I mean, from across the waters. Revelation 13 or 17. All right? And then she gets back at this beast here, and this is where we're approaching to right now, folks. Right here. All right. So now there's a lot said on that. Taking half of our sermon just for the prayer thought. I think we'll go right on now into our study and spend the last half of our study on dealing with these world history and prophetic symbols. Okay, folks, this image here represents the symbol of the world. Okay, made up in 5 parts: gold, silver, brass, iron, and clay. Now in Jeremiah 18:6 it says that the clay is the house of Israel. So, this image of the world would not be complete without the clay. And everybody's wanting to destroy Israel and the Jew, wants to wipe them off the face of the earth. And they're the ones left standing today. That's the reason why they're the feet of this image. And they're in the end time, and the clay is down here on the very end. The house of Israel is going to be left standing after this image is broken to smithereens by the house of David, because then that clay translates into this little stone here, the mountain of the house of Yahweh, which is the house of Israel. Okay, that's a good point to make. Now let's go back to our chart. And we got the world and prophetic symbols. Okay. Let's start reading. Blessed is he that readeth, says the prophecy of Daniel and the revelation of the John contain the world's history. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of the prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Revelation 1:3. So this type of language tells me that this is prophesied for the end time to be interpreted. So John the Revelator made this about 1900 years ago, this prophecy. And yet he says, for the time is at hand. He'd have to be talking about the time that we're in now, the 12th hour, because John the Revelator was in the 4th parabolic hour. We're in the 12th parabolic hour. 1900 years separates the 4th parabolic hour from the 12th parabolic hour. Now, it says that none think, because he cannot expound the meaning of every symbol in the revelation, that it is useless for them to search this book in an effort to know the meaning of the truth it contains. The one who revealed these mysteries unto John will give unto the diligent searcher for the truth a foretaste of the heavenly things. And it says, those whose hearts are open unto the reception of the truth will be enabled to understand its teaching, and will be granted the blessing promised unto those who hear the words of his prophecy and keep those things which are written therein. Now, Sister White made that quote in Acts of the Apostles, page 584. So for you Adventists and Davidian Seventh-day Adventists that are not prejudiced, especially you Seventh-day Adventists against the rod, because the rod is the one that's used in Sister White's writings, the Spirit of Prophecy, to back up their teachings as well. And I use the Sister White's writings to back up the teachings of the rod, to back up the teachings of the Branch Davidians that I came through at Kermit, Texas for 33 years. And I'm still using Ellen G. White's writings to back up the Spirit of Prophecy contained in the Scripture. Okay. Now it says right there in Revelation 19:10. And people don't understand that right, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to show you something there. It has the Spirit of Prophecy right here in the printed page. Revelation 19:10. It says that, and I fell at his feet. John the Revelator was going to fall at Yeshua's feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of the Yeshua. Now this is actually an angel that appeared unto John on the Isle of Patmos. And he says, I am and of thy brethren that have the testimony of the Yeshua. He said, now I come bearing you the testimony of the Yeshua, the Son. Worship Elohim. Okay. For the testimony of the Yeshua is within the Spirit of Prophecy that's contained in these Scriptures. Now there's 7 spirits of Yahweh. It says so there in Revelation 5. It says so in Zechariah 3 and other places. There's 7 spirits of Yahweh. One of them is the spirit of the prophecy contained in the word of Yeshua. That's exactly what this angel was testifying to John the Revelator about. I am of thy brethren, so don't worship me, that you worship the Yeshua and Yahweh the Father. Because we're definitely commanded to worship Yeshua today. We worship him because he has inherited this world by his blood, the sacrifice, and he's the King of kings and sovereign of sovereigns. He comes back as a prophet, priest, and king to reign upon his throne. He has 3 titles. And the last title is the king, and that's what he uses to reign upon his throne, to execute judgment and justice upon all here in the end time. Now, in the Revelation, all the books of the Bible meet an end. Here is a complement of the book of the Daniel. One is a prophecy, the other a revelation. For the book that was sealed is not the revelation, but that portion of the prophecy of the Daniel relating unto the last days. Now where is that found at? That's found in Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. The book that related to Daniel's prophecy. The angel commanded, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book even unto the time of the end. Okay. For the number 7 indicates completeness, while the symbols used reveal the condition of the church at the different periods in the history of the world. Finite men should be aware of the seeking for the controlling of their fellow man, taking of the place assigned unto the Yahweh Spirit. Remember I said Yahweh has 7 spirits. One of them is the spirit of prophecy. One of them, another one would be the spirit of faith, the spirit of grace, the spirit of baptism, okay, and so forth. Let not men feel that it is in their prerogative to give unto the world what they suppose to be the truth, and refuse that anything should be given contrary unto their ideas. This is not their work. Many things will appear distinctly as the truth, which will not be acceptable unto those who think their own interpretation of the Scriptures always right. For the most decided changes will have to be made in regard unto the ideas which some have accepted as without a flaw. Testimonies Ministries, page 76. A large portion of the Christendom agree that we are living in the last days of this world's history. When Yahshua was asked by his disciples for the signs of his return unto the earth again and of the end of the world, one of the many signs he gave was, when you therefore shall see the abominations of the desolation spoken of by the Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Matthew 24:15. Now that's a broad statement right there, whosoever readeth. How many millions of people, especially Adventists and the Davidian Seventh Days, have read this passage? They were commanded to understand it if they're going to read it. And after they have read it, they're commanded to understand it. And they don't understand it for the most part, especially the ministers. And what do? They put their own interpretation on it. It is evident from the words of the Master that the book of the Daniel contains information regarding the signs of the times and of the end of the world. For the prophecies of the Daniel were of the little worth unto the disciples and the early apostolic congregation of the Nazarene Creed. And when I say Nazarene, I'm talking about Yahshua was a Nazarite. He came out of the little town of Nazarene when he started his ministry at the age of 30. For Daniel says the book was sealed unto the time of the end, Daniel 12:4. And since the book is now open, it is evident that we are living in the time of the end. V.T. Hollis is a little bit premature because V.T. Hollis was in the 10th parabolic hour. And as I told you time and again, we're in the 12th parabolic hour. So the time of the end begins at the beginning of the 12th parabolic hour, and that's 2002. We had our sign of the Twin Towers being blown up in New York about the beginning of the time of trouble for the world. Okay, and many believe that we had entered into the time of trouble at that time. But the book was to be open unto one class of people and shut unto another, for he added, many shall be purified and made white, and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. Well, what does it mean the wicked shall do wickedly? Well, that's a foregone conclusion, folks. You got around 8 billion people on planet Earth, and you got 2/3 of those are wicked class. It's only going to be a 1/3 purified, made white, and tried and brought through the fire to be saved, and the earth made new. Only 1/3 of Earth's population. That's prophecy. But it's talking about the wicked in the church. When the judgment goes forth in the church, it's talking about when it's going forth, that the wise are going to understand and be sanctified. But those that are terrorists in the church, in the house of Israel, I'm talking about the Adventist Church first, and then the Davidians, Shepherd Rod, and then the Branch Davidians, the Gilead Synod. If they don't understand the breaking of prophecy, then they're classified as wicked. Why are they classified as wicked? Well, they're classified as sinners, lawbreakers, with no understanding. If you don't have understanding of the breaking of the prophecies, you refuse to get understanding. It says right here, let him that readeth, let him understand. If you want to read it, understand it. If you don't understand it, let a prophet interpret for you. There's always going to be a prophet on the scene. When you have breaking prophecy, you're going to always have a prophet with inspiration that will give you the meaning of it. That's what it means by whosoever readeth, let him understand. Yeah. If you're reading something that the prophet is teaching you, but then if you don't understand it, go to the prophet. But the wise shall understand. 5 wise virgins, extra oil in their lamps. What was that extra oil? Breaking prophetic truth to them as they were going along their pathway with their lamps that they were holding in their hand, lighted up with the oil in that lamp. But they had an extra vessel in case that oil gets burned out and they don't get to the end of their journey. By the time that oil is burned out, then they're going to have to refill that lamp with that extra oil. That's exactly what happened to come to Texas. They made the fallacy, as all the rod did, that the 11th hour was the last parabolic hour. They couldn't count to 12. Even though they quoted Yahshua many times in John 11:9 saying, are there not 12 hours in a day? But all V.T. Harloff and Ben Roden and Brother Stubby Johnson, those 3 main ones that run the Shepherd Rod and the Branch Davidians, okay? And I like to say for 70 years, that's another thing I want to point out, that the Shepherd Rod and the Branch Davidians that I was with for 33 years, they were in charge of the candlestick for 70 years. 70 is a significant number. Because, you know, when 70 years is up for the captivity of Judah, Yahweh raised up a deliverer, Cyrus, king, a heathen king, and he wrought their deliverance. How did he do that? By taking all away the king's palace and the king himself, Belshazzar, Nebuchadnezzar's son, that was the ruler in Babylon. First he had to destroy the king of Babylon and take away his kingdom and get it out of the way. And then Cyrus and Darius then were given a command to go and bring the children of Israel out of Babylon, the 2 tribes of Judah, and have them provided for to get back to their land. So not only did Cyrus come in and Darius and destroy Babylon and the king Belshazzar, but they also went and enabled now the Judah to be set free. People don't realize that. When they came out of the 70-year captivity, it wasn't because the king said, well, your 70 years is up, the king of Babylon, saying, well, now your 70 years is up, it's time for you guys to go and get out of here. Go back to your homeland. No, the king was destroyed, and all of Babylon's palace was destroyed. Then the tribe of Judah, they didn't have no opposition standing in their way. Babylon was destroyed. Do you get the point? Okay, Babylon today. Babylon today, which is right here, that's in charge of this beast. Revelation plainly says that they're going to be destroyed here in this 12th hour that we're in. As soon as they are destroyed and taken out of the way, then all of the righteous people of the earth are free then to go back to the land of Israel, to go back to their homeland. And that's exactly what they're going to do. It starts right there in Ezekiel's prophecy. And Zechariah has it all through the 14 chapters of Zechariah. All about this going back to homeland. Ezekiel covers it extensively, and so forth. Therefore, it is important that we should be free from all wickedness. And that's in Daniel 12:10. It says about the wise that will understand. Therefore, it is important that we should be free from all wickedness and obedient unto the divine requirement. if we would understand and receive the blessings contained in the book. For the intention of this publication is not to explain the symbols, which have hitherto been fully explained in the various publications and proved to be correct in the general outline up until the present, but our intention is to clear certain features which have been hidden by the Spirit of Yahweh for a time. For the outstanding symbols, which are so familiar unto the Bible student, will be briefly visualized. That's why we're bringing these to your vision, right here. At the time when it's time for them to understand how they work, we're going to draw to your attention. Sufficiently only to connect the thought with the symbols that are to be explained. We shall endeavor to prove that the symbols of the book of Daniel and Revelation contain the entire world's history, both civil and religious, from the creation unto the redemption. Here's your earth right here. Begin the 6,000 year period. Here's the earth. Creation to redemption. Redemption is right here in the 12th parabolic hour that we're in right now. So, this little two-horned beast and this leopard-like beast, they have their operation in the 12th parabolic hour. It's when they do their fulfillment of what they were called to do. So, the leopard-like beast came out of the sea in 1776. He fulfills all what he stands for right here in the 12th parabolic hour. So these two beasts, the little two-horned beasts, represent the United States and its government, and the present government today with the President of the United States playing this role right here. All of these right here are in the 12th parabolic hour. And they all started doing their thing in 2002, when the judgment of the dead was over and the judgment of the living began. And then when the 11th parabolic hour ended in 2002 and the 12th parabolic hour picked up in 2002, then that's when these characters all come into play here in this 12th hour. And the second chapter of the Daniel begins with the first universal kingdom, Babylon. After the flood we have the world's history from thence unto the second coming of the Yahshua, or unto the end of the present world. Folks, we're closer to the end than you realize. When I get through giving you this study right here, you're going to know exactly where we're at in the stream of time. If you believe everything I teach you here. And I'm going to connect up the chain links of prophecy, one right to the other. Okay. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. The great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image, his head was of the fine gold. His breast and his arms were silver, and his thighs of the brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Okay. So now, while we're talking about that, we'll just go ahead and turn back to it. If we can readily find it. Here it is. Again, the feet were part of iron, part of clay, meaning that the house of Israel was mixed with Rome, Catholicism. That's what the iron represents. This here iron leg right here represents in the Apostles' day, the right one. The left one represents in our day. 2,000 years apart, the time for these two legs to play their part. Oh, there it is. It's on that chart. Pagan Rome, fourth beast in Daniel's vision, came on the scene 2,000 years. He was on the scene 2,000 years ago, ruling over Jerusalem, ruling over the Pharisees. Well, they was charged with civil power for sure. Thou sawest still a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of the iron and clay, and break them to pieces, and in the days of these kings shall the Elohim of heaven set up a kingdom. Now let's change that Yahweh, this is the Father. Let's change this to Yeshua. Because it says, and in the days of these kings shall the Yeshua, the Son, of the heaven set up a kingdom here on this earth, with his throne established in the throne room of the everlasting kingdom of David, making it the kingdom of heaven on earth. They shall come, break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and they shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hand, that it break in pieces, the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold. The great Elohim hath made known unto the king what shall come to pass, and hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation is sure. They are sure. Daniel 2:31, 34, and 44, and 45. Now I want to back up, just have a little quick review here on and bring us to an end. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, clay, the silver, and the gold. It says, in the days that they shall come to pass, and shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left on the people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. What kingdom? This kingdom here, that's on the, these 10 horns, right here. That's on this leopard-like beast, represents all the kingdoms of the world. He's got them all. There's 10 horns on the scarlet-colored beast right here, represents all the kingdoms of the world that have lent their power to this beast for one hour. This is what the little stone strikes on the feet and destroys all these kingdoms that's represented by these 10 horns. And these 10 horns have their administrative power in our White House at the Congress and the Senate. Our congressmen and senators are the power brokers for these 10 horns that represents all the nations of the world. So, as soon as this stone strikes the image on the feet here in the United States, and it destroys all these kingdoms, means it takes over the government of the White House, our own government first. Takes charge of these 10 horns, represents all the kingdoms of the world. This brings the end of our study this hour. Contact us at the 11th hour call, and that's number 11, kept on the audio archive. To hear this message and more, we're going to close now with a song and pilot. I am thine, O Yahweh. I am thine, O Yahweh. I have heard thy voice, and it told thy love to me. But I long to rise in the arms of faith and be closer unto thee. Come in there, blessed John, to the cross where thou hast died. Come in there, blessed John, to the precious bleeding side. Consecrate me, Yah, to the service, Yah, by the power of grace divine. Let my soul look up with a steadfast hope, and I will be lost in thine. Come in blessed Yah, to the cross where thou hast died. Come in blessed Yah, to the precious bleeding side. For the pure delight of a single lamb that before thy throne I stand. When I kneel in prayer and with thee, my Yah, I commune as friend with friend. Draw me near, blessed John, to the cross where thou hast died. Draw me near, blessed John, to the precious bleeding side. There are depths of love that I cannot know till I cross the narrow sea. There are heights of joy that I may